I know the feeling. You scroll through endless listings, see those glossy renders of a laptop that promises ultra-high FPS and future-proof performance, and you start to wonder if you'll end up with a machine that looks perfect on paper but chokes on the first game you launch. I've been there, and that hesitation is what makes me pause before I hit buy now. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. In this video I'm breaking down the Lenovo LOQ 15, not by reading a spec sheet, but by looking at how the pieces actually fit together when you try to game, edit video, or just sit at a coffee shop for a few hours. Gaming laptops are a crowded market. Every brand throws a RTX card and a high refresh screen at you, promising a desktop-level experience, yet the reality often boils down to thermal throttling, cramped keyboards, or a battery that can't survive more than a short break between outlets. The LOQ 15 tries to address those pain points with a 15.6-inch FHD IPS panel that includes G-Sync, an AMD Ryzen 5 7235HS, and an RTX 4050. The combination sounds solid, but the real question is how those components behave when you sit down for a 2-hour raid or render a 4K video. From what I've gathered, the laptop's 32GB of DDR5 RAM and massive 2TB PCIe SSD give it the headroom to load large game worlds and video project files without the dreaded stutter that many mid-range machines suffer. The SSD size also means you won't be forced to juggle external drives if you keep a library of modern titles and raw footage. If you're the type of gamer who spends most of your time in fast-paced shooters or battle royals at 1080p, the LOQ 15 hits a sweet spot. The RTX 4050, while not the top-tier card, still pushes 144 frames per second in titles like Valorant and Fortnite when you dial down a few settings, and the G-Sync panel eliminates screen tearing, making those high-frame moments feel buttery smooth. For creators, the Ryzen 5 7235HS offers enough cores to handle Adobe Premiere's timeline rendering without the laptop screaming for air, especially when paired with that 32GB of RAM. I've seen creators praise the 2TB SSD because it lets them store raw 4K clips and still have space for a game library, cutting down on the constant need to offload files. The backlit keyboard is a nice touch for late-night sessions, and the USB-C port gives you a modern way to hook up an external monitor or a fast-charging brick if you need a quick power top-up. On the flip side, there are practical compromises you'll feel if you try to push the machine beyond its sweet spot. The LOQ 15's chassis, while sleek, is built from a mix of aluminum and plastic that keeps the weight under 5 pounds, but during extended gaming marathons the bottom can get noticeably warm. Users have reported that the fan curve ramps up quickly, which means you'll hear a steady whine that can be a distraction in quiet environments. Battery life is another hidden trade-off. With the RTX 4050 engaged, you'll see roughly 3 to 4 hours of unplugged gameplay, which is decent for a gaming laptop but far from the all-day endurance you might expect from a non-gaming ultrabook. If you need a laptop that can last a full workday on a single charge, you might want to look elsewhere. Also, while the screen is a 60Hz panel with G-Sync, it doesn't hit the 144Hz refresh rates you see on some competing models, so ultra-competitive esports players might feel a bit held back. So who should actually reach for the LOQ 15? If you're a mid-budget gamer who wants a solid 1080p experience without draining your wallet, and you also dabble in video editing or 3D modeling as a side hustle, this laptop gives you a balanced package. It shines when you need to switch between a few demanding titles and a creative workflow without swapping machines. On the other hand, if you're a competitive esports athlete chasing the highest possible refresh rates, or a power user who needs a laptop that can run on battery for a full day of meetings and editing, you'd be better served by a device that prioritizes those specific strengths. The LOQ 15 isn't a universal solution, but its value lies in the fact that it delivers a respectable gaming experience and a capable creator workstation in a single, relatively portable package. In the end, the Lenovo LOQ 15 feels like a thoughtful compromise that avoids the usual great on paper, disappointing in practice trap. It gives you enough power to game at high frame rates, enough storage for large media files, and enough RAM to keep everything fluid, while keeping the price lower than many high-end gaming rigs. If those trade-offs line up with what you need, you'll likely feel satisfied with the purchase. If you're still on the fence, think about the kind of games you play, the editing work you do, and whether you can live with a modest battery life and a fan that gets vocal under load. For most gamers and creators who want a single machine that does both without breaking the bank, the LOQ15 is worth